Welcome to Transform Now, the podcast brought to you by SS&C Blue Prism. Enterprise AI isn't just a tool, it's the heartbeat of smart organizations like yours, helping to reinvent work to deliver higher growth, more customers, and better experiences. Join us as we discover how AI-powered work orchestration and automation is making things better for everyone: customers, employees, shareholders, and most importantly, you. Let's get into the show.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Transform Now. I'm your host, Michael Marchuk.
And I'm Brad Hairston.
And this is our weekly pulse check of AI and automation news. As always, we'll have some links posted for you in the show notes so you can follow along if you'd like, or maybe get your own insights from those articles themselves. So we got 4 again today, Brad, and we're going to start with one that's always been on the mind of folks who are looking at AI and its potential catastrophic impacts as we've been talking about all this stuff in terms of jobs. So this is from Ars Technica. The article is entitled, AI could create 78 million more jobs than it eliminates by 2030. So this specific report goes into the World Economic Forum's latest output. And I know you have read some of that. I have as well. What are your takes on this particular article and how they're talking about the whole job transformation thing?
Yeah, so I'm still working my way through the 290.
Oh, come on. It's only 200 some odd pages. Come on.
But I do love the Future of Jobs report. It used to be every 3 years. They're now doing it every 2 years, which is great.
Likely the help of AI.
Yes. And thank you, ChatGPT, for helping me consume it in a faster fashion than I normally would by reading 290 pages. So this article pulls out probably the master headline or the biggest takeaway from the recent Future of Jobs report, and that is they are projecting that there will be 92 million jobs eliminated by 2030, but there will be 170 million new jobs. So that gives us a net increase of 78 million. So that's pretty good news, especially when you think about 2 years ago, they were projecting a net decrease by 2027, and that was 14 million, a decrease of 14 million jobs. So it raises the question, so what changed? What has caused this consortium of people that work on the World Economic Forum report? What's caused them to go from glass half empty to glass half full? And I think it's 2 things. One is they see reskilling is happening a lot faster than they anticipated. So there's a quote from this article. Half of employers plan to reorient their business in response to AI. In addition, it says 2/3 plan to hire talent with specific AI skills, while 40% anticipate reducing their workforce where AI can automate tasks. So there's a lot of reskilling going on. There's a lot of hiring talent that have the AI skills that are needed. I think that's one factor that's making them feel more optimistic. The other one is, and this is another key theme that I've taken away from the Future of Jobs report thus far, is that the theme is more companies are focused on augmentation versus displacement. So WEF talks a lot about human-machine collaboration. That's really where companies have their head right now. They're thinking about how to augment their existing employees with AI, make their jobs more productive, more transformative, and instead of just eliminating a lot of humans and letting AI take over. So that is another, I think, big reason why they've reached this conclusion. The other thing I'd like to point out, and this is highlighted in the article as well, we've been saying for quite a while that every company is an AI company. Well, there's a quote from this article taken from the Future of Jobs report that they surveyed 1,000 companies, and of those 1,000 companies, 86% are expecting AI will transform their operations by 2030. 86%. That's
Actually, that seems low. I would think 100% should be thinking that way. I want to know what the other 14% are thinking.
you do wonder about the 14%. I guess they're living under a rock or in a cave or something. But so overall, I thought the article was great. I do think they're bringing out, kind of the main points of the latest report, which is very optimistic. Then the article kind of takes a weird twist at the end and talks about Sam Altman pushing for universal basic income. I don't know why they thought they had to do that. They could have stopped a paragraph or two earlier than getting into that. But yeah, I liked it, and I concur with their optimism.
I would agree with that as well. And I will take that as a segue into our next article. So going from universal basic income, let's apply it to Wall Street, because the next article takes a different view of the exact same World Economic Forum report. And this is Experts Question Analyst Report on Wall Street Losing Jobs to AI. So just as we talk about, and it actually recites the same report. So maybe you could give your insights into where they're thinking this is going compared to what we just read and what we've seen in the World Economic Forum's report as well.
Yeah, so this is the article's based on research done by Bloomberg. They have a research arm, and they conducted an extensive analysis and concluded that AI could reduce as many as 200,000 jobs on Wall Street in the next 3 to 5 years. Now, all of this flies in the face of what we just talked about in the World Economic Forum report, which, by the way, came out 2 days after this Bloomberg research came out. You wonder if they're rethinking the timing of this. And this change it's interesting because it goes on to say the employers of these companies on Wall Street have a different take. They're really much more optimistic. They quote a couple of people just as examples. One's from JLL, a gentleman who says, what we're really witnessing is a massive job transformation rather than pure elimination. And he says, automation ultimately will create more opportunities than it displaces. So that's a pretty positive outlook. And then the other one is the chief investment officer from Prince Capital. He says that one of the most important qualities for new hires is the ability to adapt and learn new things. While that may include AI, it's not limited to them. So I think he's of the opinion, look, AI is here. All of us are embracing it. It's not the end of humanity. In fact, it's going to redefine how we work. And we want people that are going to learn it and are willing to learn it and adapt to it. That's a key quality we're looking for in new hires. So I thought that was a really interesting observation. So despite what Bloomberg says, the financial employers are definitely pretty bullish on the impact of AI, and they're excited to see how it's going to help them. So I just come back to you, Michael, and I ask, do you think Bloomberg is questioning or rethinking the timing of pushing it out there 2 days before the World Economic Forum says, no, we're going to have a net increase?
Actually, I think there's a different tack. So here I am, and I'll play devil's advocate on this one here. So looking at the discussion they talked about, they're saying 200,000 jobs in the next 3 to 5 years could be lost on Wall Street. And the question is, well, what jobs are those? And that's really the biggest key. They go into talking about some of the activities that are repetitive and et cetera. And as we've seen, as part of the broader SS&C, a lot of the activities that happen for a lot of these mutual funds, hedge funds, ETFs and whatnot, there's a ton of paperwork that goes on, a ton of shuffling data between systems that's done manually. So they onboard customers, they validate things manually. So I think 200,000 jobs being replaced or displaced may affect the folks who are more than happy to get rid of those kinds of activities and go to something a little more deep. So we've seen a number of different AI, both startups, but also some of the entrenched players going into some equity research kind of stuff where they're looking at organizations and for private equity and whatnot. So you start looking at the activities that are happening that have been traditionally done sort of in a manual brute force kind of way. And now AI is taking that and making it much more effective in terms of being able to dive into the information, as you mentioned, summarize a lot of information,
Right.
and get that extracted so you can actually work on what that next step is. Is this an investment we want to move forward with? Is this something we want to look deeper into, and like in terms of meeting with the executives from that organization, et cetera? So I do think there will be, like everything else, there will be a transformation of which jobs are quote unquote lost. But of those 200,000 that are lost, I suspect there'll be a lot more gained doing a lot of the more in-depth analysis work that really goes towards the purpose of these funds and whatnot. So again, that's my take on it. I just see that all of these technologies continue to enhance the broader job market for those who are taking the next step. And that's a big key. If you just say, listen, that's all I did was shuffle paperwork and I'm done now, you may have a challenge finding your next role.
Right.
But for those who are ready to embrace this new world of technology and AI, I believe there's a lot of opportunity for everybody. So going on for opportunity, our next one, we're talking about is it's a math blog, and I thought this was a very interesting choice here. So the article's titled, "Can AI do maths yet?" Of course, I'm from America. I call it math. Our folks in the UK call it maths with plural. Anyway, can AI do maths yet? Thoughts from a mathematician. And we've seen this a number of different times where you have models that are given questions. How many R's there in strawberry? Or what's this plus this? Can you and show your work? And it takes it off into some very strange tangent. So what's this article all about?
Well, this article was written by a mathematician, and it was written for mathematicians, which neither of us can claim to be.
That's true.
Although I am married to a mathematician, strangely enough. But, I think the essence of it is pretty straightforward. I mean, while AI models continue to advance and become more powerful and have reason and things like that, this article, I think the tone of it is it's still not as good as as someone with heavy expertise in math. And so they fed some problems into AI models. They're called frontier math. So they're very complex, but they're really below undergraduate level in complexity. They're not like, something only a PhD or Matt Damon on Good Will Hunting could solve. And what they found was the AI models only achieve 25% accuracy with these frontier math problems. So the point this person's making is, while AI can find numerical answers to some questions, it still falls short in areas like creativity and intuition and the ability to explain proofs and theorems. I mean, all these things that are essential to solving these advanced math problems. So progress has been really good. AI is advancing each and every day, but I think the article is essentially saying it is far from matching the capabilities of a human mathematician. I'm sure there's people out there that would debate that and say, no, we're gonna, with AGI, we're gonna be there. But this article, uses some quantitative evidence to show that, AI is still doesn't have an edge on the geeks out there. So long live the geeks. I give them credit here for having a victory over AI.
So I guess one of the things I would point out too is we're talking about large language models. And so I'm going to just put that in the name of the title here. It's a large language model. And as you and I both know, there are differences in the way that folks whose brains are wired for math are from folks whose brains are wired for art. They just work differently.
Right.
And I would point out that I think these large language models are in a similar fashion. We can create programs. In fact, we have programs all over the place to do all kinds of math, right? Math-related activities. But I believe the way this mathematician is kind of bringing in and broadening the scope of discussion is talking about these abstract math theorems that are looking for proofs and whatnot versus solving a specific equation or a calculated equation.
Right.
So interesting concept. And will we get there? Maybe, I don't know. But all of these types of creative thinking when it comes to math, you may require maybe a different kind of model to approach those type of problems. So interesting ideas, interesting concepts.
And
Now,
Michael, let me also mention math is a STEM skill that is in high demand in the market. So that's yet another evidence that, math is not going to be all done by AI, and there's no role for mathematicians. That is a discipline that higher eds are saying they need many more people to focus on. So
right.
Just wanted to throw that in. Another kudos to the mathematicians among us.
And we would be in a world of hurt without them for sure. All right, so the last article we have today, we go from math back to language again. And this is from Ars Technica again. The name of this article is Why AI Language Models Choke on Too Much Text. So we slide from math to text. Is it texts or just text? But anyway, just text. They're talking about the compute cost scale with a square of the size of the input, and that's not great. So while we work in a lot with these LLM models that are trained on massive amounts of data, they're saying that perhaps this is going a little too far. Can you maybe elaborate?
Yeah, I mean, like the previous article, this one made my heavily right-centric brain hurt quite a bit. So again, I'm going to do my best to summarize it, with my non-technical skills. But I think the point of it is that, again, while AI systems can process massive amounts of data, we often talk about, well, ChatGPT is basically, ingested the internet. The models are still having trouble managing massive amounts of data, like reviewing millions of emails or analyzing years of video footage. And, it's all because of the way that they handle information. It becomes slower and it becomes a lot more expensive as the data grows and becomes, so massive. So there are AI tools that are, helping this problem a little bit. But, again, if the AI model can't find the right documents, this is what sometimes leads to hallucinations or leads to, inaccurate results. So there is hope. I mean, there are researchers creating smarter AI systems that mix kind of old and new methods. The article talks about that. They're called hybrid systems. And, these save time and they reduce the need for so much computing power. So there is a path out of this. And I think, again, this is similar to the last article. It's just a cautionary tale that we need to stop shy of saying that AI is perfect, that it can take in as much information as you give it and give you wonderful, amazingly accurate results. It can't magically ingest all sources of data and have a perfect answer for everything. There has to be some trade-offs, I should say, along the way. So, I thought it was an interesting article. Again, not necessarily my expertise to take all this in and make sense of every part of it, but it seems like a pretty reasonable opinion that we need to temper our enthusiasm around what AI can do at this point in time.
Well, I would agree with you. Maybe the models are really the issue, and that is we're trying or expecting too much from a very specific model. So going to maybe a car analogy, now we're expecting, your Honda Civic to be able to pull, a freight train, and you're just not going to be in a situation for it to do that. There are different types of models that will be maybe better suited for that, or maybe different techniques to be able to sort through that information in a different way. So I suspect as we go through each of these specific types of problems will be approached with a very particular, maybe more well-tuned model. It's kind of like people, right? People are really good at one thing, but maybe not so good at another thing. And while you may have some folks who are fantastic at math, they may not be great at writing a paper or even conversing in person, right? So these are just different skills that people have. And I would say the same thing with our LLMs and other models that are going to be out there. There will be different skills that they will be bring to the table. And it's just applying the right ones for the right problems.
Right.
So, all right. Well, that's all we have for this week's Pulse Check. As always, check the links in the show notes, and you can find out what we were reading. And we will bring you another guest next week with more great information. And you can look forward to next week's Pulse Check. Well, Brad and I will be going through some more articles that will likely tickle your ears. So until then, we'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening to Transform Now, the podcast from SS&C Blue Prism. You can find all of our episodes on your favorite podcast channel, as well as YouTube. To stay on top of the hottest topics in the world of enterprise AI, subscribe now. The future of work is here.